The great hall of the Galactic Council stretched out like a metal cathedral. 12 different alien species sat in their special seats, each designed for their unique bodies. The air hummed with translation devices that turned every word into sounds each species could understand. Ambassador Sarah Chun walked slowly across the polished floor. Her black shoes clicked against the metal surface with each step. Behind her, 2 human guards followed. They carried no weapons. The peace treaty had already begun, even before the signing. At the center of the hall stood a massive table made from crystallized starlight. The document lay there, glowing softly with embedded technology that would make the treaty binding across all known space. 12 different languages covered its surface in flowing script. High Commander Vestal waited at the table. His body looked like a giant octopus crossed with a machine. Purple tentacles moved constantly around his core, each one tipped with metal claws. His 3 eyes watched Sarah approach with what humans had learned to recognize as satisfaction. Sarah reached the table and picked up the signing device. It felt heavy in her hands, though she knew the weight was more than just metal and circuits. This device would end 15 years of war. It would save the last 3 human worlds from destruction. It would also surrender everything her species had built among the stars. The terms are clear, Vestal spoke through his translator. His real voice sounded like grinding gears mixed with whale song. Humanity will keep 3 worlds: New Earth, Haven Colony, and Terra Nova. All other human territories will be transferred to the Zephyrian Empire. Sarah nodded. She had memorized every word of the treaty. Humanity would dismantle all military ships. They would destroy all weapons research. They would allow Zephyrian observers to monitor their remaining worlds. In exchange, the 3 protected planets would be safe from attack. All human military assets must be destroyed within 6 months, Vestal continued. Our observers will verify each destruction personally. No hidden weapons. No secret research. Complete disarmament. The other alien delegates watched silently. Some seemed pleased that the dangerous humans would finally be contained. Others looked worried about giving the Zephyrians so much new territory. But none spoke against the treaty. Everyone was tired of war. Sarah activated the signing device. Golden light flowed from it, scanning her biological markers and confirming her authority to speak for all humanity. The device hummed as it recorded her identity permanently into the treaty. I, Ambassador Sarah Chun, speaking for the United Human Government, accept these terms, she said. Her voice carried clearly through the hall's amplification system. Humanity agrees to complete disarmament in exchange for protection of our 3 remaining worlds. She pressed the device against the treaty document. Light flowed between them, and new text appeared, confirming the human signature. Cheers rose from some of the alien delegates. Others remained silent, calculating how this new peace would affect their own territories. Vestal signed next. His tentacles moved in complex patterns as he activated his own signing device. When the purple light of his signature joined Sarah's golden one, the treaty became active across all connected space networks. It is done, declared the Galactic Council speaker, a tall being that looked like a walking tree. Peace between the Zephyrian Empire and humanity has been achieved. Let this day be remembered as the end of violence and the beginning of cooperation. Sarah smiled and shook hands with the various delegates. She spoke the correct diplomatic words. She thanked everyone for their patience during the long negotiations. She promised that humanity would honor every part of the agreement. But deep in her mind, Sarah remembered other words. Words spoken in a secret meeting 3 months ago in an underground bunker on Earth. Admiral Kane had looked directly at her and said, "They think we're beaten. Let them keep thinking that." Now, as cameras recorded the historic moment, Sarah maintained her diplomatic mask. She knew that in hidden bunkers across human space, other, People were watching this ceremony with very different thoughts. On Earth, Admiral Marcus Kane sat in the deepest military command center ever built. The room lay 3 miles underground, surrounded by electromagnetic shields that blocked all scanning attempts. Around him, dozens of officers watched the ceremony on holographic displays. "Signal confirmed," reported a communications officer. "The treaty has been signed and activated." Kane nodded slowly. He touched a control on his chair, opening a quantum communication channel that no alien technology could detect. The message was simple. Protocol Damocles is now active. Across human space, the message reached its destinations instantly. On hidden ships floating in asteroid fields, crews began final preparations. In underground bases on supposedly abandoned worlds, scientists activated their most secret projects. In alien cities where humans worked as prisoners or servants, sleeper agents received their orders. Back in the council hall, the celebration continued. Alien delegates congratulated each other on achieving peace. News networks broadcast the signing across the galaxy. Everyone agreed that humanity had finally been contained. Sarah continued to play her part perfectly. She answered questions from reporters about how grateful humanity was for this chance at peace. She promised that humans would use this opportunity to become peaceful farmers and artists instead of soldiers. Vexthil seemed especially pleased. His tentacles moved in patterns that meant deep satisfaction in Zephyrian body language. He had achieved what no Zephyrian commander before him had managed. He had defeated humanity without losing a single additional ship. "Your species fought well," he told Sarah privately as the ceremony ended. "But now you can rest. No more war. No more death. Just peaceful existence on your 3 small worlds." Sarah thanked him for his mercy. She bowed respectfully as Zephyrian tradition required. She never let her expression show what she was really thinking. As the delegates left the council hall, Sarah walked alone to her transport ship. Her guards followed at a respectful distance. To any observer, she looked like a woman carrying the weight of her species' surrender. But as her ship lifted away from the council station, Sarah finally allowed herself a small, cold smile. The Zephyrians thought they had won. They believed humanity was finished as a military power. They were planning to enslave or destroy every human not protected by the new treaty. They had no idea what was really coming. The war was not ending today. It was just beginning. And this time, humanity would be the one with all the advantages. 6 months had passed since the peace treaty was signed. Across human space, the sound of destruction filled the void between stars. Massive warships broke apart under controlled demolitions. Research stations released their air into space and went dark forever. Military bases stripped their weapons and sent them into the nearest sun. Zephyrian observer-class ships watched every destruction carefully. Their biomechanical sensors recorded each explosion, each piece of debris, each system going offline. High Commander Vexthul received reports daily that confirmed his victory. Humanity was keeping its promise. Their military power was being completely eliminated. On the observation ship Death's Truth, Commander Zeke watched another human battlecruiser break apart. His sensors confirmed that the ship's quantum drives had been properly destroyed. No human vessel could travel faster than light without those drives. "Excellent," he spoke into his communication device. "The humans are being very thorough. They understand that any deception would mean the destruction of their 3 remaining worlds, but Zeki could not see what was happening deep beneath the surface of New Earth, 3 miles underground, past layers of rock and metal that blocked all scanning attempts. The largest construction project in human history continued around the clock. Dr. Elena Vasquez walked through the main laboratory complex. The tunnel stretched for dozens of miles in all directions, carved out by mining robots that had been working since before the war began. Thousands of scientists and engineers worked in laboratories that officially did not exist. "How is the Looking Glass project proceeding?" she asked Dr. James Park, her chief quantum physicist. "Better than expected," he replied, gesturing to a wall covered in mathematical equations. "We've achieved stable quantum entanglement across galactic distances. The Zephyrian sensors cannot detect our communications because they exist in folded spacetime." Elena smiled. The quantum communication network would connect every hidden human facility across the galaxy. Unlike radio waves or laser signals, quantum messages could not be intercepted, blocked, or even detected. The aliens had no idea that such technology was possible. In another part of the complex, Commander Liu Wei supervised the secret evacuation operations. His wall displayed a three-dimensional map of human space, with dozens of green dots moving slowly between star systems. "Status report," he requested from his communications officer. "All evacuation ships have reached their destinations safely," the officer replied. "The populations from Kepler Station, Armstrong Colony, and New Beijing have been successfully relocated to the hidden facilities." Liu Wei nodded with satisfaction. When the Zephyrians had moved into the abandoned human colonies, they had found empty buildings and silent streets. They believed the humans had simply fled in terror. In reality, every civilian had been carefully evacuated to hidden bases that did not appear on any official records. The evacuation ships themselves were masterpieces of deception. Each one was designed to look like an ordinary cargo vessel. Their weapons were hidden inside fake storage containers. Their military-grade shields were disguised as basic navigation equipment. To any scanning, they appeared to be harmless merchant ships carrying farming supplies or industrial equipment. Meanwhile, in the asteroid belt around the Tau Ceti system, Captain Maria Santos floated her ship Peaceful Trader near a large asteroid. Her registration identified her as an independent cargo hauler working for Zephyrian mining companies. She had been playing this role for 3 years, building trust and gathering intelligence. "Another shipment of processed metals ready for delivery," she reported to the Zephyrian mining station. Her voice sounded bored and tired, like any merchant pilot making routine runs. "Confirmed, Peaceful Trader," came the reply. "Proceed to Docking Bay 7 for cargo transfer." What the Zephyrians did not know was that Maria's cargo containers held more than processed metals. Hidden in specially shielded compartments were quantum communication nodes, advanced weapon systems, and data storage devices filled with detailed plans of every Zephyrian facility she had visited. As she docked with the mining station, Maria uploaded a virus into their computer systems. The virus was designed to remain completely hidden until activated by a specific quantum signal. When that signal came, it would take control of the station's life support, weapons, and communication systems. Similar operations were happening throughout Zephyrian space. Human agents who had been embedded for years were finally beginning their real work. Dr. James Park's twin brother David worked as a captured human scientist in a Zephyrian research facility. Every day, he provided false data that would make their new weapons projects fail at critical moments. Captain Robert Chun, Sarah's brother, commanded a maintenance crew on a major Zephyrian military base. His crew had spent months installing improvements to their defense systems. These improvements would turn the base's own weapons against its defenders when the right signal was transmitted. But the Zephyrians grew more confident with each passing day. They expanded their territory aggressively, moving into former human space without caution. They began to show their true nature, which had been hidden during the peace negotiations. On the former human world of New Shanghai, Zephyrian soldiers rounded up the remaining population. Commander Dex addressed the terrified humans through a translator. "The peace treaty protects only 3 human worlds," he announced. "This world is now property of the Zephyrian Empire. You will work in our mining operations. Resistance will result in immediate execution. The humans were loaded onto transport ships and taken to labor camps. The Zephyrians had always planned to enslave any human populations not specifically protected by the treaty. They had just waited until the human military was completely destroyed before revealing this plan. Similar scenes played out on dozens of former human worlds. The Zephyrians took everything valuable and forced the remaining humans into slavery. They broadcast these conquests proudly throughout alien space, showing that humanity was now helpless to protect its own people. On Earth, Admiral Kane watched these broadcasts with carefully controlled anger. Each image of human suffering was recorded and added to a growing file labeled War Crimes Evidence. That file would be very important in the days to come. How much longer? He asked Dr. Vasquez during one of their secret meetings. The quantum network will be fully operational in 6 weeks, she replied. All hidden assets will be in position in 8 weeks. We can begin operations in 10 weeks if necessary. Kane nodded. 10 weeks felt like an eternity when he watched human beings suffering under alien rule. But he also knew that rushing would doom everything they had worked for. Humanity had been planning this operation for 5 years. They could wait a little longer to spring their trap. The Zephyrians continued to expand their territory and enslave human populations. Their confidence grew with each easy victory. They began to believe that humans were naturally weak and cowardly, inferior to all other species in the galaxy. High Commander Vexthol even gave interviews to galactic news networks, explaining how simple it had been to defeat humanity. They surrendered completely when faced with real military pressure, he said proudly. Their reputation as dangerous fighters was greatly exaggerated. They are better suited to serve as workers for superior species. But deep in the hidden laboratories beneath human space, the final preparations continued. The quantum communication network grew stronger every day. Hidden weapons came online. Sleeper agents reported that they were ready for action. The Zephyrians thought they had won a war and gained an empire. They had actually walked into the most elaborate trap in galactic history. And very soon, they would learn the difference between human surrender and human strategy. The quantum signals began at exactly 1200 hours, Galactic Standard Time. Across 50 star systems, hidden transmitters buried deep in asteroid fields activated simultaneously. The signals traveled through folded spacetime, invisible to all known scanning technology. On the observation ship Death's Truth, Commander Zeke noticed unusual readings on his quantum sensors. Small fluctuations appeared and disappeared randomly across his detection grid. His tactical officer, a young Zephyrian named Velka, reported the anomalies with concern. Commander, these quantum patterns are unlike anything in our databases, Velka said, studying the scrolling data. They appear artificial but follow no known communication protocols. Zakai examined the readings himself. The patterns were definitely not natural phenomena, but they made no sense according to Zephyrian science. Probably some kind of stellar interference, he decided. Continue monitoring, but do not report to High Command unless the patterns become more significant. What Zakai could not know was that those signals were connecting every hidden human facility in the galaxy into one vast network. In the command center beneath New Earth, Admiral Kane watched as green lights appeared on a massive 3-dimensional display. Each light represented a secret base, hidden ship, or sleeper agent coming online. Network status report, he requested from his communications officer. All primary nodes are connected and responding, came the reply. We have confirmed contact with 247 hidden facilities, 1,847 sleeper agents, and 156 concealed ship formations. The Looking Glass network is fully operational. Kane smiled grimly. For the first time in 15 years, he could communicate instantly with every human military asset in the galaxy. The Zephyrians had thought they were monitoring a defeated enemy. They had actually been watching the construction of the largest intelligence network in galactic history. Dr. Elena Vasquez entered the command center, carrying a datapad filled with technical specifications. "The quantum virus is ready for deployment," she announced. "We can begin Phase 2 whenever you give the order." "What exactly will this virus do?" Kane asked, though he had been briefed on the project many times. "It will infiltrate Zephyrian biomechanical systems through their own quantum communication networks," Elena explained. "Once inside, it will remain completely dormant until activated. Then it will turn their own technology against them." The virus was Elena's most dangerous creation. Zephyrian technology was based on a combination of living tissue and quantum-enhanced machinery. They grew their computers and weapons rather than building them. This biological basis made their systems incredibly powerful, but also vulnerable to the right kind of attack. In the Tau Ceti system, Captain Maria Santos received her activation orders through the new quantum network. She had been waiting for this moment for 3 years. Her ship was currently docked with Zephyrian mining station Alpha 7, where she had just delivered another cargo of processed metals. "Computer, activate Trojan Protocol 7, she whispered into her command interface. Her ship's hidden systems came online. Concealed weapons pods opened within her cargo containers. Advanced scanning equipment began mapping the mining station's internal structure. Most importantly, her ship began uploading the quantum virus into the station's computer network through their standard docking connection. The VIRU spread through the station systems like water, flowing through pipes. It copied itself into every connected device, from life support controls to weapon systems to communication arrays. But it remained completely invisible, hidden in the quantum layer of their biomechanical processors. Across Zephyrian space, similar uploads were occurring simultaneously. Every human agent who had access to alien computer systems was introducing the virus. Within hours, it had infected thousands of facilities without triggering a single security alert. Dr. David Park worked late in his assigned laboratory at the Zephyrian Research Facility Omega-3. To his alien supervisors, he was a brilliant human scientist who had been convinced to cooperate with their weapons development program. In reality, he had been feeding them false data for months while stealing their real research. "The quantum resonance calculations appear correct," he told his Zephyrian supervisor. Scientist Cast next in. "Your new plasma cannon design should achieve the energy output you requested." What David did not mention was that the calculations contained a critical error. When the Zephyrians tried to use the weapon at full power, it would overload and destroy itself. He had made dozens of similar mistakes in their weapons projects over the past year. But tonight, David had a new mission. Using equipment hidden in his personal belongings, he began uploading the quantum virus into the research facility's main computer. The virus quickly spread through their entire network, copying itself into every experimental weapon and defense system. On the military base where Captain Robert Chun led a maintenance crew, similar operations were beginning. His crew had spent months installing improvements to the base's defensive systems. Tonight, they activated hidden transmitters within those improvements. "All quantum communication nodes are active," reported his second-in-command, Sergeant Lisa Wong. "We have full control over the base's weapon systems, shield generators, and communication arrays." Robert nodded. When the time came, this Zephyrian military base would become a weapon turned against the Zephyrian fleet. Its own defensive guns would target allied ships instead of enemies. In the command center on Earth, Admiral Kane watched reports flowing in from agents across the galaxy. The scale of the operation was staggering. For 5 years, Humanity had been placing people and equipment in positions throughout Zephyrian space. Every agent had waited patiently for this moment. Status report from all sectors, Kane requested. Sector 7 reports all assets in position, came the first response. Quantum virus successfully deployed to all target facilities. Sector 12 confirms readiness, reported another officer. Hidden weapons platforms are armed and awaiting orders. Sector 25 reports successful infiltration, added a third voice. Enemy communication networks are compromised and ready for takeover. The reports continued for 20 minutes. Every hidden human asset in the galaxy was reporting success. The network that had taken 5 years to build was finally ready for action. But Kane knew the most important part of the operation was yet to come. Hidden in asteroid fields throughout human space were the remnants of the human fleet. Ships that the Zephyrians believed had been destroyed were actually hiding in plain sight. Commander Sarah Mitchell floated her battlecruiser Hidden Fury deep inside the asteroid belt of the Sol system. To any scanning attempt, her ship appeared to be just another large chunk of rock. Its hull was covered with specially designed armor that perfectly mimicked the composition of natural asteroids. Quantum communication established with fleet. Command, her communications officer reported. All ships in the formation are connected and ready. Sarah looked at her tactical display. 67 major warships were hidden throughout this single asteroid field. Hundreds more were concealed in similar locations across human space. The Zephyrians thought the human fleet had been completely destroyed. In reality, it had been hidden and upgraded with 5 years of secret research. Similar hidden fleets waited in every major star system that the Zephyrians now controlled. Ships that appeared on no official records, crews that were supposed to be dead, weapon systems that officially did not exist. The Zephyrians had watched the destruction of humanity's old fleet. They had no idea that a new fleet had been built in secret, using technology far more advanced than anything they had seen during the war. Back in his command center, Kane opened a secure channel to Ambassador Sarah Chun. She was currently on the Zephyrian homeworld as a diplomatic prisoner, maintaining the illusion that humanity was cooperating with their new masters. Ambassador, are you ready for Phase 3? He asked. All assets on the homeworld are in position, she replied through quantum encryption. The moment you give the signal, we can take control of their planetary defense grid. Kane looked at the massive display showing every human asset across the galaxy. Green lights covered the map like stars in the night sky. Each light represented people who had waited patiently for this moment. Soldiers, scientists, engineers, and civilians who had sacrificed years of their lives to prepare for one decisive day. All stations, this is Fleet Command, Kane announced across the quantum network. Phase 3 is authorized. Prepare for Operation Damocles. The trap is about to spring. Across 50 star systems, humanity's hidden strength began its final preparations. The Zephyrians still believed they had conquered a broken enemy. They were about to learn what humanity was really capable of when given time to plan. Admiral Kane stood before the quantum communication console in his underground command center. The moment he had been planning for 5 years had finally arrived. Around him, hundreds of officers waited for the order that would change everything. All stations, this is Fleet Command. Kane spoke into the console. His voice carried instantly to every hidden human asset across the galaxy. Execute Operation Damocles. Repeat. Execute Operation Damocles. The trap springs now. Across 50 star systems, humanity's hidden strength revealed itself in one coordinated moment. In the Tau Ceti system, Captain Maria Santos felt her ship's hidden weapons come online. The peaceful trader had been docked with Zephyrian Mining Station Alpha 7 for 3 hours. Just another cargo delivery in what appeared to be routine trade. But as Kane's order reached her through quantum space, Maria activated systems that officially did not exist. Computer, weapons free. Target all critical systems. Her cargo containers split open, revealing advanced plasma cannons and quantum torpedo launchers. Before the Zephyrians on the mining station could even understand what was happening, the peaceful trader destroyed their communication arrays, weapon systems, and life support controls. But that was only the beginning. The quantum virus that Maria had uploaded during her previous visits suddenly activated throughout the station's biomechanical systems. Computer networks turned against their users. Security doors locked Zephyrian personnel in place. The station's own defensive weapons rotated to target Zephyrian ships in the area. "This is Mining Station Alpha 7, came a panicked transmission. "We're under attack by human forces. Request immediate assistance." The transmission was cut short as the virus took control of their communication systems. Similar attacks began simultaneously throughout Zephyrian space. In the Vega system, Dr. David Park activated the quantum virus in Research Facility Omega-3. Every experimental weapon that the Zephyrians had built over the past year suddenly turned on its creators. Plasma cannons overloaded and exploded. Shield generators reversed their polarity, making anything they were supposed to protect completely vulnerable. Security alert. Alarms blared through the facility. Multiple system failures detected. Evacuate all critical areas. But the evacuation routes were controlled by the virus now. Doors sealed automatically, trapping Zephyrian scientists in their laboratories while David and other human prisoners made their escape through maintenance tunnels. They had been secretly mapping for months on the military base where Captain Robert Chun worked. The transformation was even more dramatic. The improvements his maintenance crew had installed over the past year suddenly revealed their true purpose. Every defensive gun on the base rotated to target the Zephyrian ships docked at the facility. "Fire control, this is base command," came a confused voice over the communication system. "Our defensive grid is targeting our own ships. Shut down all weapons immediately." "Fire control is not responding, base command," came the reply. "All weapon systems appear to be operating under external control." The base's own plasma cannons opened fire on the Zephyrian fleet. Ships that had been safely docked moments before exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The Zephyrians tried to launch their remaining vessels, but the base's defensive grid shot them down as they attempted to escape. But the most spectacular revelation came in space itself. Throughout the galaxy, asteroids began to move in ways that defied natural law. Chunks of rock that had floated in the same positions for years suddenly accelerated toward Zephyrian ships and stations dotted in the Sol System's asteroid belt. Commander Sarah Mitchell watched her tactical display as 67 hidden warships decloaked simultaneously. The Hidden Fury shed its rocky camouflage, revealing the sleek hull of a battlecruiser that was supposed to have been destroyed months ago. "All ships. This is Hidden Fury," Sarah transmitted to her hidden fleet. "Weapons free. Target all Zephyrian assets in the system. Show them what human engineering can really do." The ships that emerged from hiding were not the same vessels that the Zephyrians had watched being destroyed during the treaty negotiations. 5 years of secret research had produced advances that no alien species could imagine. Quantum shield generators made them nearly invulnerable to conventional weapons. Plasma cannons drew power directly from folded space-time dimensions. Faster-than-light drives could open jump portals with pinpoint accuracy. The Zephyrian Observer-class ship Death's Truth found itself surrounded by human vessels that had literally appeared from nowhere. Commander Zeka stared at his tactical display in complete disbelief. "This is impossible," he said to his tactical officer. "Those ships were destroyed months ago. We watched them explode." Commander, incoming transmission from the lead human vessel. Vulca reported with obvious fear in his voice. This is Commander Mitchell of the Human Defense Force, came the message. You are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender immediately, and you will be treated according to galactic laws of war. Zekai looked at his display again. The human ship showed energy readings far beyond anything in Zephyrian databases. Their weapons were already locked onto his ship. His own shields were no match for the firepower surrounding him. I surrender, he said quietly. Similar scenes played out throughout the galaxy. Zephyrian facilities that had been operating normally moments before found themselves under attack from within and without. The quantum virus turned their own systems against them while hidden human fleets emerged from impossible hiding places. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Ambassador Sarah Chun received Admiral Kane's signal in her diplomatic quarters. For months, she had pretended to be a cooperative prisoner, attending meetings and providing information. That helped the Zephyrians plan their expansion into human territory, but she had also been secretly installing quantum transmitters throughout the planetary defense grid. Devices that appeared to be routine diplomatic equipment were actually sophisticated weapons control systems. Computer, activate homeworld protocol, she said calmly. The planet's entire defensive network suddenly turned against the Zephyrian fleet in orbit. Massive plasma cannons that protected the homeworld from invasion began targeting every military vessel in the system. Ships that had been safely docked at orbital stations found themselves under fire from the very weapons that were supposed to protect them. High Commander Vexthal was in his flagship, Empire's Glory, when the attack began. He had been reviewing reports of successful territorial expansion when alarms began sounding throughout the ship. High Commander, his tactical officer called out in panic. The planetary defense grid is firing on our fleet. Multiple ships have been destroyed. That's impossible, Vexthal replied. The planetary grid is controlled from our military headquarters. It cannot target our own ships. Sir, we're also receiving reports from across the Empire. Human forces are attacking simultaneously in every system. Our research facilities, mining stations, and military bases are all under assault. Vexthal felt something he had never experienced before in his long military career. Complete bewilderment. Everything his species understood about warfare suggested that this kind of coordinated attack was impossible. No species had ever demonstrated the ability to plan and execute operations across such vast distances with perfect timing. How many forces do the humans have? He demanded. Unknown, sir. Our observers confirmed that all human military assets were destroyed. These attacks appear to be coming from ships and facilities that do not exist in any of our intelligence reports. But the worst was yet to come. Dr. Vasquez's quantum virus had been spreading through Zephyrian networks for hours, and now it reached its full activation phase. Every piece of biomechanical technology in Zephyrian space began to malfunction. Simultaneously, ships lost power as their quantum cores reversed polarity. Weapon systems exploded when their bioneural networks received conflicting signals. Communication arrays shut down as the virus convinced them that all outgoing messages were hostile attacks. The Zephyrian Empire's greatest strength had always been their integration of biological and mechanical systems. But that integration became their greatest weakness when humanity turned their own technology against them. In his command center on Earth, Admiral Kane watched the tactical display as green symbols spread across the galaxy. Each symbol represented a Zephyrian facility that had been captured or destroyed. The operation that had taken 5 years to plan was succeeding beyond his most optimistic projections. Status report from all sectors, he requested. Sector 7 reports complete success. All Zephyrian assets neutralized, came the first response. Sector 12 confirms mission accomplished. Enemy fleet destroyed or captured, reported another officer. Sector 25 has secured all target facilities. Zephyrian resistance has collapsed, added a third voice. Kane allowed himself a small smile. The trap had worked perfectly. The Zephyrians had spent months believing they were monitoring a defeated enemy. They had actually been watching humanity prepare the most devastating military operation in galactic history. The species that had thought they conquered humanity was learning what humans were really capable of when given time to plan. The war ended in 18 hours. Across 50 star systems, the Zephyrian Empire collapsed like a house built on sand. Their fleets were destroyed or captured. Their bases surrendered or were taken by force. Their communication networks remained under human control, turned against their former masters by quantum viruses that no Zephyrian scientist understood. High Commander Vexthal sat in the detention cell aboard the human battlecruiser. Hidden Fury. His tentacles hung limp around his central body, drained of the aggressive energy that had once made him the terror of human space. Through the transparent barrier, he could see human guards who watched him with expressions he could not read. The cell door opened with a soft hiss. Ambassador Sarah Chen entered, but she looked different from the defeated diplomat who had signed the peace treaty months ago. Her uniform bore the insignia of Human Intelligence Command. Her bearing showed the confidence of someone who had just achieved the greatest victory in her species' history. "Hello, High Commander," Sarah said calmly. "I believe we have some things to discuss." Vexthal's three eyes focused on her with a mixture of fear and confusion. "You are supposed to be a diplomatic prisoner on our homeworld," he said through the translation device. "I was never a prisoner," Sarah replied. "I was exactly where I needed to be to complete our mission." She activated a holographic projector that filled the cell with a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Green dots showed human-controlled territory. Red dots marked former Zephyrian holdings that were now under human occupation. The red dots vastly outnumbered the green ones. "This is impossible," Vexthal said weakly. "We monitored your military destruction. We watched your ships explode. We verified that your weapons research facilities were dismantled." Sarah smiled coldly. "You watched us destroy our old fleet, yes, but you had no idea we were building a new one. Every ship you observed being destroyed had already transferred its crew and critical systems to hidden vessels that never appeared on your sensors." She manipulated the holographic display, showing fleet movements that had been invisible to Zephyrian intelligence. Hidden bases appeared throughout space, connected by quantum communication networks that operated outside normal space-time. "The research facilities you thought we dismantled?" Sarah continued. "Those were just the laboratories we wanted you to see. Our real research continued in places your sensors could never detect." Vexthal's tentacles twitched with what humans have learned to recognize as extreme distress. The peace treaty, the negotiations, all of that was deception. "All of it," Sarah confirmed. "We knew about your planned genocide before the negotiations even began. We had broken your communication codes 5 years earlier. Every strategy session, every military plan, every decision your High Council made, we knew about it before. Your own field commanders did." The holographic display changed to show intercepted Zephyrian communications dating back to the early years of the war. Plans for human enslavement, discussions of territorial expansion, debates about whether to honor the peace treaty or break it after humanity was helpless. "You see, High Commander, we knew exactly what kind of species we were dealing with. So we gave you what you wanted to see. A defeated enemy begging for mercy. A broken military asking for peace. A species ready to surrender everything just to survive. Vexthal struggled to understand the scope of what he was hearing. But our observers, our biomechanical sensors, they cannot be deceived. Your sensors are excellent at detecting what they were designed to find. Sarah agreed. But they were never designed to detect quantum-folded space or bioneural camouflage systems. Technologies that your species never developed because you never needed to hide from anyone. She showed him recordings of human ships that appeared to Zephyrian sensors as asteroids, equipment that registered as harmless civilian technology, and weapon systems that were completely invisible to biomechanical detection methods. We spent 15 years of apparent warfare learning everything about your technology, your tactics, and your psychology. Every battle taught us more about how you think and how you fight. By the time we signed that treaty, we knew you better than you knew yourselves. The door opened again. Admiral Kane entered, wearing the full dress uniform of Human Defense Force Command. His medals included some that Vexthal recognized as awards for battles the humans had supposedly lost during the war. "High Commander," Kane said formally, "I wanted to meet the alien who thought he had conquered humanity." Vexthal looked between the two humans with growing horror. "This entire war, everything we accomplished, it was all part of your plan." "Not the entire war," Kane replied honestly. "The first 5 years were real fighting. We lost colonies, ships, and good people. But around year 6, we began to understand something important. We couldn't defeat you through conventional warfare. You had superior technology and more ships." Kane activated his own holographic display, showing battle statistics and resource comparisons between the two species. "So we changed strategies. Instead of trying to outfight you, we decided to outthink you. We began the longest intelligence operation in galactic history. Every defeat after year 6 was carefully planned to give us access to your technology and territory." Sarah took over the explanation. "We let you capture our research facilities so our scientists could study your biomechanical systems from the inside. We allowed our colonies to fall so we could place sleeper agents throughout your empire. We retreated from strategic positions so you would expand into areas where we had prepared surprises. The peace treaty was the final phase," Kane added. "We needed you to believe you had won completely. Only then would you drop your guard enough for us to position our assets for the final strike." Vexthal's tentacles drooped further as he began to grasp the enormity of the deception. "Your species planned this operation for how long?" 5 years of active preparation," Sarah replied. "But the basic strategy was developed over 10 years ago. We knew that any species capable of the genocide you were planning would never honor a real peace treaty. So we made sure the treaty served our purposes instead of yours." Kane gestured to the holographic display, which now showed the current state of galactic power. Human forces controlled every former Zephyrian territory. The alien empire that had existed for centuries had been completely dismantled in less than a day. Your fleets are captured or destroyed. Your research facilities are under our control. Your homeworld's government has surrendered unconditionally. The Zephyrian Empire no longer exists. "What happens to my people?" Vexthal asked quietly. Sarah and Kane exchanged glances. This was the question they had been expecting. "That depends on your people's choices going forward," Kane replied. "We're not interested in genocide or revenge. But we are going to make sure that your species never again has the capability to threaten others." Sarah activated a new display showing a proposed peace agreement. "Your remaining military leaders can sign this new treaty. It establishes the terms under which your species will be allowed to continue existing." Vexthal read the terms with growing understanding. Zephyrian military forces would be limited to local defense only. All weapons research would be monitored by human observers. Former Zephyrian territory would be distributed among species they had conquered or threatened. Most importantly, Any attempt to rebuild an offensive military capability would be considered an act of war. "This is not a peace treaty," Vextel said. "This is a surrender document." "Yes," Kane agreed without apology. "It is. Your species chose to pursue genocide and slavery. Now you live with the consequences of that choice." 3 hours later, Vextil stood before the emergency session of the Galactic Council. The Great Hall was filled with representatives from dozens of species. All of whom had just witnessed the most dramatic shift in galactic power in recorded history. Admiral Kane stood at the central podium, wearing his dress uniform and the confident bearing of someone who had just achieved the impossible. Around him, holographic displays showed the current state of human military forces throughout the galaxy. "Members of the Council," Kane began, "I am here to announce that the war between humanity and the Zephyrian Empire has ended. The Empire has surrendered unconditionally after their military forces were defeated in coordinated operations across 50 star systems." Murmurs rose from the assembled delegates. Many species had expected this war to continue for decades. The idea that it could end so suddenly seemed impossible. Furthermore, Kane continued, "I am here to present new treaties that will govern the relationship between humanity and all other galactic species going forward." He gestured to Ambassador Chun, who activated a massive holographic display showing the proposed new political structure of the galaxy. These treaties establish several important principles. First, humanity will take responsibility for maintaining galactic peace and preventing future genocides. Second, all military research will be subject to international oversight to prevent the development of weapons intended for species elimination. Third, any government that pursues policies of slavery or genocide will face immediate intervention by human forces. The Galactic Council speaker, the tall tree-like being who had presided over the original peace ceremony, stood slowly,